Oh, we got our man. I thought he was ducking the smoke. It's been way too long since Uncle Phil Sims, two-time Super Bowl winner with the New York Giants. I hated New York Giants, but we loved him on CBS. Check him out on his YouTube channel, Sims Complete. Man, Uncle Phil, long time no talk. What's going on?
Well, I can't talk if nobody calls me. You know what I'm saying?
No, Uncle Phil Sims, we've been trying to connect with you for over 2 years now. Over 2 years.
Come on. Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, if you have, then the messages you're sending me are not very good, so I don't know why in the hell I haven't been on. So
probably one of your 3 phones. You didn't pick it up. That's okay. That's okay. How you been, Phil? Happy belated Father's Day, by the way.
Well, same to you, everybody. Yeah, it was a good day yesterday. It was pretty up here in New Jersey, so got to see some of my children, grandchildren. We had a lot of fun, and everything is good, man. I had no complaints. Nobody cares. As Bill Parcells would say, hey, Sims, nobody cares about your troubles. And we just move on, and it's been great. It's been a good off season. And, of course, I'm sitting here now thinking, man, that football season's coming fast. I can't wait.
I can't wait. Well, I was going to say Father's Day. Did you spend it with Chris? And did you talk about what Chris said? Hold on, Phil. I'm going to play it for you. Here's what Chris said about Brock Purdy against the Green Bay Packers in a playoff game.
He's damn good, but there's some things still, if you went back, okay, Jordan Love had the 2 interceptions at the end of the game. Jordan Love in that game played better than Brock Purdy. I mean, Brock Purdy should have thrown 7 interceptions in that game. He got lucky that night. We'd all be talking differently if there's Green Bay could catch. I mean, it was not a good night, let alone, right, that game. There's other games, too.
So that was your son, Chris Sims, on the Unbuttoned podcast when I met Fareed, and he said that, hey, this is why I'm ranking Brock Purdy as the 17th best quarterback in the NFL. Right. What'd you think about those comments first on the Green Bay game, and did Brock Purdy get lucky in that football game, Phil?
Well, it's really interesting. I watched the game, back last year when it was played right after a little bit. And I didn't probably study it near as hard as my son did because there was a lot more going on for me. But if he says that, I don't think he makes it up. I think he watched the game very closely, and I know he rewatched all these quarterbacks during the offseason. So if he said it, I'm not being a father. I believe it. I think he probably said the right things about that game. I think all quarterbacks have games, and hell, I had many where I threw it and I had to yell, drop it, because it was so, hey, like I said, maybe sometimes he can over-evaluate a little this or that, but I haven't been around many people that watch it as closely as he does, tells the truth as much as he does. And so I think there's a lot of validity to what he said about that game.
Phil, you said you had the grandkids, and I'm curious, are you trying to manipulate it so every single one of them can be a quarterback? Because the money being thrown at these quarterbacks is unreal. You played in the wrong era, Phil.
Oh, man. I always tell this, or not always, I've told it a few times. On the CBS set, Boomer Esiason sits on the other end, I'm on one end. And during a commercial, sometimes something comes up and he goes, look at this. And he'll tell me a quarterback's contract. And I go, okay, Boomer, get over it, man. It is what it is. I don't care. I don't care about the money now, whatever. And then this past year, a few came up, and I said to him, you know what? It bothers me now. It really it really, whoever thought that this would go in the way it has, and it's escalated so fast. The Deshaun Watson trade and money, that changed the world for quarterbacks. And, boy, they're all taking advantage of it. And really, there's not much teams can do. I always kind of see this. Who's going to be the first team to take, however you want to say it, your franchise quarterback and go, you know what? We're not paying you $50 million. If you don't like it, man, we love you, but good luck, and we'll try to find somebody else. I've kind of thought that sooner or later somebody would break this game, but now I'm starting to believe there's no way it will, because who's ever up, they're the next highest paid guy in the NFL, and it's good for them. I have no animosity, of course, towards any of those guys. Make the money, and it's a rough game, and when you get a chance, take advantage of it.
All right, so like the 49ers are going to be faced with this a year from now, basically. We know that Dak Prescott's deal is going to be coming up a year from now as well. And, Dak's going to get a lot of money. Purdy's going to get a lot of money.
Yep.
If you're the 49ers, though, like, is there some reluctancy? I mean, obviously, you're taking a leap of faith with all these guys because of injury, decline, et cetera. You see it with Russell Wilson. How do you navigate it this year with the Niners and Brock Purdy leading up to this contract extension?
Well, I think everything. I think what he's done, of course, in the league so far has been really spectacular. Whatever you want to say, to be where he came from, we know all that. The way he's played, he's made a lot of big plays, and he's a bigger guy than I expected to see on the field. And of course, he moves around, I think, well. He anticipates throws. And he's done a terrific job. But my whole point is this. It really is going to come down to what he does this year now, because we only remember the latest episodes of whatever's going on. Rory McIlroy, oh, my God, we remember what happened yesterday. And I think it'll kind of be that way for Brock Purdy through the season, the playoffs, how he performs, and where you feel he stands in this group of quarterbacks being paid such extraordinary money. So if he has a good year, there's no doubt the 49ers are going to pay him, just like all these other quarterbacks are getting, and it'll work out for both.
Phil Simms here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 Game with Joe Shasky, the Butcher, and Bonte Hill. All right, Phil. Brock Purdy, you said all those great things about him, and he's played at a high level, MVP conversation last season, but is he a quarterback? Like Mahomes, we see Mahomes, he can elevate a roster. Josh Allen can elevate an offense. Can Brock Purdy at this stage of his career elevate an offense by himself if he doesn't have said weapons like a Deebo Samuel or a Brandon Aiyuk?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's always one that no matter what, it's hard to answer. Is he in the talent level that you just talked about, those other two? I mean, of course not. He's not. But we can't judge everybody in NFL at the quarterback position on the talent of Joe Burrow too, but Mahomes and Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, arguably the two most talented quarterbacks in the league in many, many phases and many things they do for their teams, how they handle themselves and how they, along with the coach, manage what's going on. That's really, both those quarterbacks, not to get off on these different things,
right?
But Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes at the end of the year changed the way they played. And it was the right way to change, and that's why they had success at the end of the year. That's why we saw such a great game in Buffalo by the two quarterbacks. And, Patrick Mahomes, hey, he all of a sudden became, I'm just going to do exactly what the offense wants me to do instead of freelancing and, I'm going to move quicker than I should. Guys was open, but you didn't give them time. And I don't know who judged all these drop passes by Kansas City, but I sure as hell don't want that guy judging me on anything in life because, damn, he's a hard grader. Some of those drops, I'm like, oh, come on. The ball touched the receiver's hands, and that's a drop. But whatever. So, he's not going to be that guy, but he's got to be the right guy for San Francisco. And, of course, you guys hear it all the time. Kyle Shanahan, his offense, it's awesome for a quarterback. And as long as he takes advantage of a high percentage of what he's supposed to do, then he's going to get paid, and I will definitely not have any arguments on that.
So, Phil, I trust your assessment because you watch the game inside and out like Chris, like Boomer, like the rest of them. Maybe not Boomer sizing, about that. But Phil,
yeah.
When you think about the Ravens, I'm going to isolate some games here where Purdy looked very pedestrian. The 3-game losing streak when they lose to Cleveland, Minnesota, Cincinnati, and then which was on your network on CBS at the time, and then of course the playoffs and the Christmas Day against Baltimore. Why did he struggle so bad against some more physical, athletic defenses where it looked like, boy, that reminded me of Jimmy Garoppolo at times. Like he struggled mightily in those games, Phil.
Well, yeah, it's not a game of perfection. I mean, what the hell? We're judging only his bad games, and let's see. Cleveland, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Oh, that's right. They missed the game-winning field goal. That was Brock. He should have got him closer. Of course, sarcastic, which it's easy for me. But you're going to have games like they had against the Cincinnati Bengals. And, Cincinnati was primed. I'm sure they were, it was just emotionally, all that stuff. And they played one of their best games of the year against San Francisco. So I'm not going to sit back and just judge a few games. I judge the whole thing in totality. And, of course, another big thing always is playoffs and how you perform in them. And I used to get a little upset about how we just judge the playoff game or games, but now I understand it even more. And, Brock Purdy's done fine. It's not about him in that respect. Just take Dak Prescott. His last 3 playoffs, he's lost, all 3, 2 to San Francisco where he didn't play well in either one of those. And he lost, listen, this is just me. He lost the game against Green Bay.
Yeah.
And from this aspect, he threw 2 interceptions early in the game. They're turned into points. And when you're playing in a playoff game, you want to, take it easy on your way into the game and be extremely careful. Instead, he was aggressive. It backfired. And I thought that was one of the big maybe the biggest reason of all by far, that their over-aggressive defense that day was why they lost. So, and I look at even Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl. Yeah, did he miss a few plays here and there? Sure, but I'm judging them after the fact, watching them on my computer and going, oh, boy, should have done this and that. Well, gosh almighty, you can do that every game against every quarter. So, hey, look, San Francisco, you got Brock Purdy. It's working pretty damn well, and I would expect it to be even better this year on the offensive side because of experience, and his talent will continue to grow as he really learns to play big-time football in the NFL.
Yeah. We'll ask you about Brandon Aiyuk in just a second, but you brought up the Shanahan offense and you almost like got excited, like you wanted to play quarterback in it. And it's beautiful. There are guys open. There's a lot of pre-snap motion. You do a lot of play action and he really plays to your strengths, whether it's over the middle of the field or the intermediate routes with Brock Purdy. He's done a great job with that. The timing routes are beautiful. But if there's one area that I'm nitpicking, and I want your opinion on this, it's like there are times pre-snap where I feel like Purdy's not allowed to change a whole lot. He doesn't get a lot of autonomy at the line of scrimmage. What are the strengths and weaknesses from a former quarterback of the Shanahan offense?
Oh, wow, that's hard. Well, listen, one, he's unique. There's a few coordinators in the NFL that do this. They just have different thoughts week in and week out, and they do things or set up plays, formations, whatever you want to say, reads, that other teams have not done yet. And I saw it with, an ex-49er coach, Bobby Slowick, down in Houston. Oh, my God. I mean, by the end of the year, I'm watching all the games, and going, damn, they just copied that from Houston. Dang, there's a team that copied Houston because he brought out original ideas. And Kyle does that too. And, when you talk about it, my biggest gripe sometimes about Kyle's offense, they don't throw the football enough outside the numbers. I don't know. I didn't look at the analytics yet. Let me look into that. But, it seemed like they did it more this past year, and they had success. His anticipation, which, he doesn't have what I call a top-flight NFL arm, Brock doesn't. But what's that done for him? That helped him fit into what Kyle does more and more because in his whole life, he anticipates throws. He doesn't wait to see the guy open. He can see that he's going to come open here soon, so he lets the football go. And those are a couple of things that I think have been really good for the 49ers offense. And checking out of plays, I haven't really thought about it much, but I think the way they set up their offense, you don't have to check out of plays very often because you see what the defense is doing. You can mark off the first and second read and just go right to the third because he's going to be open according to what he sees pre-snap a lot of times. So, I got a little fired up this past year. I didn't do a great job with it on CBS when they call him a game manager and this and that, and it's always said with, he's not very good. That's the way, his talent's not doing it. He's just, that's just crazy. And I watched a lot of tape when that kind of came out because I was going to talk about it. But it was hard to really rip it apart by people who said it in 20 seconds. So,
no,
not
Phil,
a team manager He's a
Phil,
hell
that
of a lot
pisses
better.
me off too, though, because aren't all quarterbacks game managers? You're managing the offense. You're managing the game. You're managing that whole thing about being a game. Yeah, duh, they are game managers. It's not a negative connotation, though. It's what you do.
Hell
You
no.
manage the offense.
If the quarterback is not an extension of the damn coach out there managing the game, then
Right.
you got to get rid of him.
No doubt.
And that's what it is. And it definitely has a terrible connotation. And some people, oh no, I don't mean it in a bad way. Yes, you do. You're lying. I watch everybody on TV, and they do these dumb statements. So a game manager. Hey, I just gave you a great example. Dak Prescott at home against Green Bay. Everything's there for the Cowboys, and he did what? He mismanaged the game.
Mm-hmm.
Put up great numbers when it was all over, but the start was so bad because of decision-making, aggression, however you want to put it. And Dak had his best year physically and thinking-wise, throwing the football in his whole career, and I don't even think it was close. But then it all exploded in the one game, and we're going to forget about everything during the year because playoff football is different. And I'll bet you anything Mike McCarthy wished. He goes, wow, if he'd just managed the game a little better, we would have won. But he didn't, and they lost.
What's your thoughts about Brandon Aiyuk as a wide receiver in this Shanahan offense? Go ahead, Phil.
I like him a lot. I love him coming out of Arizona State. I think he fits the system great. He's a route runner. I always look at Debo and just go, man, just get him in this position and let him be the big physical presence he is. But the route runner is Brandon Aiyuk. You guys know more than me. You watch it closely and more closely than I can throughout the year. But I think he's a big-time part of the offense. And, so I hope it works out for him. I think it will. And, hell, I can't remember the kid's name from Florida.
Ricky Pearsall? Pearsall, yeah.
Yeah, big fan of his, too. I mean, I almost forgot his name there. But, man, receivers, that's the other thing. I do a podcast with my son, Matt, and we were doing it with somebody, Bucky Brooks from the NFL Network the other day. And we were talking, there's a skill set of guys, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, name me a team that has a bad skill set now. The receivers and tight ends are incredible in the NFL. And the tight ends, oh, my gosh, it's like the new superstar position in the NFL. They're coming out right and left. I mean, the year before in the draft, it was like 10 of them were, worthy of being drafted high. But so there's a lot of receivers out there. You got to still get them in the draft. But I think Aiyuk is really the perfect guy for that San Francisco offense.
Well, let's hopefully they pay him. Hopefully they pay him, and he's back in training camp and doesn't miss much time there. Phil, we always thank you for the time. We got to do this a lot more as football season is around the corner. We love talking to you.
Well, I love talking to you guys. That was kind of tame, though. I was hoping a little more. But, there's other things to cover. We'll do that. But if you want to give me a ring the season.
Hey, it's summertime, Phil. We're chilling right now. We're trying to avoid talking Giants baseball out here as they lose to one of the worst teams in the American League.
Hey, I got to tell you, I do watch a lot of baseball in the month of June and about halfway through July. Then I quit because I definitely go all NFL. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe the podcast, I get such freedom to talk like I do with you guys.
Right.
Man, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm saying things. I said to some guy, this has been fun. I'm being kind of tame and whatever right now. And the guy goes, have you listened what you say? And I go, really? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, you're taking a lot of shots at people. And I said, well, I don't mean to do it. I like to tell, hey, I always say this. Last thing, I know you guys are.
No, you can talk as long as you want. We got nothing going on.
Oh, well, I love what I do for this aspect, and I mean it from my heart. When I got into the business, when my career was over, I said, the one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to work hard, but I'm going to try to tell the truth for the players and coaches. I owe them that. That's why I get upset about when people say things that I know are really wrong, and I like to talk about that because what do the fans know? What they hear and what they read. And you guys, you're important to the fans to help them understand everything about the San Francisco 49ers and to tell the truth and to watch the games. Really,
well, Uncle Phil, you learned in this business, though, not to cut you off, the truth can sometimes hurt. So when you get critical of certain players, the fans turn on us in a heartbeat. And I'm the biggest homer out here.
Well, yeah, I understand, but there's a way of telling the truth and not just crushing people too.
I agree.
I thought I was very fair when I was doing games, but I did have a quarterback call me once and goes, "I can't believe what you said about me in the game." And I said, "You threw 4 interceptions. I couldn't pick up for you anymore." And
Who was it?
What's that?
Who was it? Grossman?
Oh, I can't tell you. If I gave you a list of 5 people, one of those 5 said it, you probably would have picked him out. But I don't know. It'd be 1 or 2 of those. But no, and I think they understood after it. I said, look, I did the best I could, but it comes a point when you throw a really, because trust me, I know what bad interceptions are all about. I mean, I threw an interception against the Kansas City Chiefs in 1984. And it was bad. It was my 3rd one of the game. And I'm walking off the field, and I said, oh, my Parcells is going to kill me. So I said, I'm going to walk right by him and get it over with. And he goes, come here. Sims, come here. I said, yeah. He goes, me and Ron Earhart, the offensive coordinator in the booth, we were just wondering, are you watching the same game we're watching? And I just got, hey, that's a good one. I just kept walking. But
Phil, we're going to have you on this fall. I promise.
We'll come at you harder,
because buddy. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, no, we're going to come at you harder because I'm going to miss you on that CBS panel there with James Brown and company. So we'll talk more to you, and it won't be as tame.
Right,
see you, Phil.
Yeah, bring the pain. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're the best.
All right, Uncle Phil. We could do an hour with
Phil
him.
Sims.
We could do an hour with him. Just run a material left and right.